Tonight on Cronkite News, thousands of soldiers marched to mark the Army's 250th anniversary, while more than 2,000 No King's Day protests were held throughout the country.
Plus, we take a closer look at the millions of dollars spent at military museums here in Arizona, as well as the latest addition to one collection.
And One Valley School's Rocket League team launches itself to the top. We'll have their amazing story. Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News. I'm Patrick Renault.
And I'm Nash Dara. Thank you for joining us. The man accused of shooting several politicians in Minnesota is now facing federal murder charges. Vance Bolter is accused of killing a state lawmaker and her husband and wounding another lawmaker and his wife. Arizona lawmakers have condemned the attacks. In an email sent to all Arizona House members over the weekend, Speaker Steve Montenegro urged everyone to take caution, saying, "The Department of Public Safety has advised that any threats against you should be immediately reported to your local law enforcement government officials on both sides of the aisle. Send thoughts and prayers to the victims' families." They also questioned what's next for Governor Katie Hobbs, posted on X. Violence should have no place in our politics, but is becoming increasingly common, and Senate Majority Leader Janae Shamp said in a press release, no public servant should face violence for their legislative views. Senate Democratic Leader Priya Sundarshan echoed many in her statement, noting, "Our differences are what makes the nation great, but we settle them peacefully through elections and debate."
Meanwhile, President Donald Trump has ordered Immigration and Customs Enforcement to expand its mass deportation program. The president ordered ICE to target what he called Democratic power centers in cities like Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York. The president made the announcement on social media, and at the same time, the Trump administration directed immigration officers to pause arrests at farms, hotels, and restaurants.
Tanks, armored vehicles, and thousands of soldiers marched through the streets of Washington on Saturday as part of President Donald Trump's controversial military parade. Ella Anderson has more on the divided reaction to this bold display of military power.
Some 6,000 soldiers marched past the White House with over 100 tanks rolling along Constitution Avenue to mark the Army's 250th anniversary. The festivities also fell on President Donald Trump's 79th birthday. The crowd at the National Mall loved the celebration as a show of patriotism and national pride. Others saw it as a worrying further politicization of the military by Trump.
I'm here for, of course, the military, to support our Army, support our president. Today's his birthday. Happy birthday, President Trump.
I'm over here in 32 years because I'm Hungarian, and this day is the most important for me, you know.
But just a few blocks away on the other side of the White House and in cities across America are protests calling this a gross display of fascism.
In thousands of communities across the country, protest marches took place, drawing in millions of people to the No Kings movement, who see the fanfare as something out of a dictatorship. Up to 1,000 protesters marched on the White House under the Refuse Fascism banner.
They're going to be driving tanks through Constitutional Avenue while he's tearing up the Constitution. I thought it was...
But you know what today really is? It's the King's birthday. He's hiding the fact that this is for him.
The parade crowd fell far short of the 200,000 people expected. Veterans and Trump supporters lined the streets to see some of the most iconic war machinery in history. From massive 1980s BFVs to HIMARS that are being used today in the war in Ukraine. Though a handful of protesters did clash with Trump supporters.
Have you experienced much violence here while you've been here at that time?
Not since I came down here. I've had way more people telling me, oh yeah, and a 34 convicted felon, high-fiving me, saying, yes, we're with you.
On a day marked by pride, protest and passion, the crowds on opposite sides of the White House told a story louder than the parade itself, of a country still marching to find common ground. In Washington, D.C., Ella Anderson, Cronkite News.
The parade costs up to $45 million, according to the Army, $16 million of which will go to repair any damage to the D.C. streets.
As Ella reported, thousands attended the parade in D.C. Military tourism is a huge draw for people of all ages and backgrounds, and more than $40 million have been spent annually at these types of museums right here in Arizona. Eddie McCubbin was on hand as the newest aviation display landed in the valley.
Braving the Arizona heat, a crowd gathered at Falcon Field to welcome the latest addition to the Arizona Commemorative Air Force Museum, a Harrier AV-8 fighter jet. Major Robert Weedy flew the jet to Mesa all the way from Cherry Point, North Carolina, marking the end of an era as the Marine Corps phases out this type of aircraft.
It's absolutely bittersweet. You know, you spend all the hours being in that cockpit and learning the cockpit and learn how to fly it. So it was kind of a second home.
Arizona has become a destination for aviation enthusiasts and war buffs, especially the Titan Missile Museum in Green Valley.
There's no place in the world you could go to have that experience of Cold War history. You're on the front lines of the Cold War when you're down there, quite literally, and you've got your fingers on the key to start World War III.
Brad Elliott is the advertising manager for the Arizona Aerospace Foundation, which runs the Titan Museum along with the Pima Air and Space Museum and the new Tucson Military Vehicle Museum. He says while they're seeing fewer international visitors, traffic from the desert Southwest and major U.S. cities like Los Angeles and Chicago remain strong. Museums like these not only preserve history, they inspire military service, as was the case for Army veteran Trevor Brugman, who visited the Pima Air and Space Museum as a child.
Seeing the SR-71 Blackbird and just seeing the Cobra attack helicopter, and like that was incredible to me.
But most importantly, Brugman says the aircraft and artifacts on display serve an educational purpose.
These are things that are real. It happened, and it's something to learn from.
Eddie McCoven, Cronkite News.
At least 10 military-themed museums are operating right here in Arizona.
Coming up next, Patrick, a visit to the Phoenix Convention Center that draws in thousands from around the world.
That's right, Nash, and we have an exclusive interview with Batman.
It's fun. It's a release. It's just a little moment of just relaxation.
We'll have more from Phoenix Fan Fusion when we return.
Plus, it was a scorching weekend across the valley, but it's only going to get warmer. We'll have your full forecast up next.
You meet so many new people who are on different communities, and when you do that, you're able to network not only, but also you get to engage, talk to people, and make life friends.
I think that definitely surprised me, the community that I would find, because I wasn't really expecting it.
Freedom.
Friendly. Nice. I'd say cozy.
Welcome back. On these dog days of summer, staying inside is survival, but it can also be isolating. For one group of people, getting out to meet in person is a huge opportunity.
Kobe Mitchell tells us about an event that brings in thousands of people from all over the world to celebrate their fandoms.
If you pass by Darth Vader and a legion of stormtroopers in downtown Phoenix, don't worry, it's only cosplay. And I'm doing my best to compete with this suit. It's events like Phoenix Fan Fusion that brings out the little kid in all of us and allows us to step into an alternate reality, even if it's just for a few days. Back in 2002, it was known as the Phoenix Comic-Con, a one-day event that has grown into something much bigger for sci-fi and fantasy fans.
Hey, dude.
And it's more than just big names and vendors that get people out. For some, it's a chance to reunite with friends they only get to see a handful of times a year.
Because I know a lot of people only see some of their friends that come from out of state at these events. So these are great places for people just to come, enjoy, spend time with the people they care about and with the fandoms they care about.
For the past 7 years, the go-to costume for Alfredo Racias is the cosplay medic. But Racias isn't only patching up fabric. He's gaining confidence, belonging, and the joy of staying in character while staying connected.
We've all grown up with different things. We've all seen these different shows, and they each mean different things to us, or the different comics, or the different fandoms that come together. It's just another one big melting pot for all of us to come and enjoy and see, hey, you like that? I love that too. Awesome. And you make new friends, new families.
And it's this sense of community that keeps bringing more and more people out. And this year's turnout of 130,000 surpassed the attendance record set in 2016.
That's my twin brother, Dave.
Attendees say it's not just what you dress as, but it's about finding people that get you.
It's just hanging out with people that are more like each other, because you can't find that online or out in public, because you don't know if they're kind of weird and they dress up, but when you come here, everyone's the same.
And the sense within the force is that the world has felt a little heavier lately, making this more than a weekend of fun. It's a breath of fresh air, even if you're wearing a helmet.
The world is stressful right now, so having this weekend or even one day of just watching everybody come together, show what they love, everybody compliment costumes, take pictures, it's connectivity, it's fun, it's a release, it's just a little moment of just relaxation.
Relaxation. Even if your home is Gotham City. And I might be heading to Arkham if I ever wear this suit again. If you missed this year's event and can't wait until next June, Tucson is hosting their Comic-Con over the final week of August. For Cronkite News, I'm Kobe Mitchell.
I'm Eddie McCoven in the Cronkite Weather Center. Well, the hot temperatures that we've been experiencing for the last couple of weeks, well, they're here still right now, and it's only getting hotter. Taking a look at our current temps, we are still in the triple digits, even as we get to 10 o'clock tonight, still at 101. Not a whole lot of reprieve from the heat as that sun goes down. But as we continue overnight, though, a little more cooling. 83 here in Phoenix, 75 down in Tucson. It's going to be a chilly 47 up in Flagstaff. But tomorrow, no, that's the story. Because we are hot and getting hotter. We are cooking with Crisco here in Phoenix at 110, 108 down in Tucson. They are a nice cool 86 degrees up here in Flagstaff, but you know what? Along the Colorado River Valley, they are in those triple digits as well. Now, we are going to get a little reprieve from the heat as the week goes on, especially into the weekend, and here's why. We've got a pressure system that's currently moving across Utah and Colorado and parts of Kansas and Oklahoma right now. And so that's going to help to push that hot air further down back towards Mexico, but we're only going to see a relief of about a few degrees. That's about it. Taking a look at your forecast, we are going to be 110 tomorrow, 112, and 115 on Thursday here in Phoenix. And as the sun continues to beat down here on the Valley of the Sun, we are going to see those triple digits, except for a little bit of cooling on Sunday at 102. I'm Eddie McCoven in the Cronkite Weather Center. Back to you.
And as the temperatures rise outdoors, they are also beginning to rise inside Desert Financial Arena.
Coming up after the break, we see how a familiar face is taking over ASU's women's basketball. After the break, find out how the Sun Devil coach plans to change the culture within her team.
This is where Cronkite can be creative.
You meet so many new people who are on different communities, and when you do that, you're able to network not only, but also get to engage, talk to people, and make life friends.
I think that definitely surprised me, the community that I would find, because I wasn't really expecting it.
freedom.
Friendly. Nice. I'd say cozy.
A lot has happened in the sports world this weekend, from esports tournaments to championships on one of the biggest fields in sports. Welcome back to Cronkite News. I'm E. McFarland with your Cronkite Sports Report. Across the country, schools and athletes are responding to the transformative settlement that will forever change college athletics. The House v. NCAA settlement allows universities to pay their athletes directly. But how will that affect schools like ASU and the current college sports revenue model? Nash Dara explains how all might work.
The short answer is it's complicated, but let's break it down into bite-sized pieces. First, schools are used to their athletes securing their own NIL deals to make money, and players can still do that. But now schools must give athletes a piece of their revenue pie. It's a revenue share model made up of $20.5 million per school. Revenue comes from media rights, ticket sales, license agreements, sponsorships, and more. How schools divide up that money is up to them. Texas Tech has announced that 74% of their revenue share will go to football, 17% to men's basketball, and 2.5% to women's basketball. As an example, ASU has yet to reveal their plan.
I think anytime that you can create some sort of rules and regulations, I'm for everything that can help the player. Like, I've always been that stance, anything that can help the player. I'm for player, but at the same token, for us, like the changing of the rules, I don't care what the rules are, just try to keep them somewhat the same. In whatever way we can do that and help the player, I'm for it.
Questions remain. One, how will this affect non-revenue sports? If most of the revenue shares go to football and men's basketball, we've already seen some schools like GCU actually eliminate Olympic sports like men's volleyball. Will more sports get cut out? There could be Title IX implications as well. And does this start to mirror a professional sports model where college players are more like employees? Schools want to avoid that distinction, and Congress is already introducing legislation to prevent players from having employee status. But legal experts say it is murky water.
College athletics is really strange because it occupies this very interesting quasi-legal space that's very gray and has been gray for a long time. And now you're looking at very traditional laws and traditional legal concepts being applied.
House settlement also allows a $2.8 billion payout to former college athletes dating back to 2016. That part of the settlement is on hold for now. A formal appeal on Title IX grounds was filed. The appeal asked for a larger portion of the damages to go to female athletes. The revenue share model will take effect July 1st, and the story will continue to evolve. In the studio, Nash Dara, Cronkite News.
Now to Valley Christian High School, one of the school's most dominant teams that isn't just on the court, but online. The Rocket League team just wrapped up a nearly perfect season, winning the AIA State Championship and the Play vs. National Cup. The tournament featured the nation's top 64 regional and state high school champions, where the Trojans powered through with skill, strategy, and a whole lot of faith. Now, what is Rocket League? Well, it's soccer, but with cars instead of players on the field. You're driving a rocket-powered car that can jump, flip, and fly, and the ball must still go in the opponent's net. Esports coach John Huntsaker says shares his secret to the winning championships.
we could win the state championship, and I would not consider myself a success if all my kids hate each other. You know, if the number one, first and foremost, is the relationship with each other, and then the relationship with God.
With graduating seniors, the team now looks ahead to the next season and a new lineup. But mission remains: discipleship first and a championship next. Arizona State women's basketball is entering a new era under first-year head coach Molly Miller. Cronkite News reporter Brandon Cadiz has more on how she's already putting her stamp on the program.
After being hired in March, Molly Miller's first time on the court with her new team this summer was the moment she felt right at home.
I'm in my happy place. That was a joyful moment for me, especially just seeing their responses and how they're buying in and their effort. Like, we're really jiving right now.
Since arriving in Tempe, Coach Molly Miller hasn't wasted any time. From culture building to team workouts, she's laying the new foundation to Sun Devil women's basketball.
Yeah, she's got like great energy. I think she's really, come on campus and energize the women's basketball program.
Part of that energy resonates in her recruiting, being able to land former LSU national champion last year POA.
Well, she is a fiery one, and I love that mindset. She's a competitor. She doesn't like to lose. If she does it wrong, she's like, "Coach, can I do it again?" I'm like, "Okay, yeah, sure."
Miller's GCU teams are known for their defense, and she plans to bring that same edge to Tempe. Last season, GCU was 31st in the country in points allowed per game at 57.2 and 10th in turnovers forced per game at 22.17.
I've won with defense my whole career, and so I've learned a lot, though. You've got to be able to shoot the ball, but we're always going to hang our hat and be convicted to the defensive end.
She's also surrounded herself with familiar coaching faces to build something long-lasting, bringing over her associate head coach from Grand Canyon, Jason Glover.
Sustained success is something that a lot of these staff members have been a part of over the years, so I wanted to bring that in also as we're trying to establish this culture of sustained success.
As the women's team celebrates its 50th season at Arizona State, Miller's mission is simple.
It's going to be fun and a lot of joyfulness, but we're going to work hard. We don't want to get outworked.
With a fresh staff, new faces on the court, and a focus on defense, Miller is confident in making some noise in year one. In Tempe, Brandon Cadiz, Cronkite News.
ASU is looking for their first NCAA March Madness appearance since 2019 and their first winning record since the 2020 season. The U.S. Open has named a winner. J.J. Spahn, a Scottsdale local, took home the trophy on one of golf's biggest stages. The Scottsdale resident won the title following a birdie at the 18th. Spahn's putt was 64 feet, the longest shot of the tournament. This is Spahn's first major title, as a 13-year vet only has one other. Spahn shot 66, 72, 69, 72 this weekend, the only player under par during the tournament. That's it for the Cronkite Sports Report. I'm E. McFarland. Back to you at the anchor desk.
Thank you, Eve. Well, if you've been to an art museum, you've probably seen a do not touch sign.
There's a very good reason for those signs. After the break, meet the tourist who could use a lesson in keeping his hands or his body to himself. The story behind this strange video when we return.
You meet so many new people who are on different communities, and when you do that, you're able to network not only, but also you get to engage, talk to people, and make life friends.
I think that definitely surprised me, the community that I would find, because I wasn't really expecting it. I was like,
freedom.
Friendly. Nice. I'd say cozy.
Cronkite can be creative.
Pope Leo XIV had a special message for the people of Chicago.
That's right, Nash. And as you know, Pope Leo is, of course, from the Windy City of Chicago. The Pope's message was viewed by thousands of people over the weekend at Rate Field, home to the Chicago White Sox, which happens to be the Pope's favorite baseball team. But the crowd wasn't there for baseball. They were there for a Catholic Mass held in his honor.
Finally tonight, new video shows the moment a tourist nearly destroyed an expensive piece of art.
The video comes from a museum in Italy where security cameras caught the whole thing. The man was posing for a photo in front of this chair, but when he sat on it, the front legs broke. He fled the room with his companion. The artwork was inspired by one of Vincent van Gogh's most famous paintings and is covered in Swarovski crystals. But the good news, the delicate chair was able to be fixed. That's it for this edition of Cronkite News. I'm Patrick Renault.
And I'm Nash Dara. Thank you for joining us. And to see top Arizona stories anytime, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.